Hi guys, I'm Jesse at Strobepro.com, and today I'm going to be showing you an in-depth look at the Strobepro 302ii strobe. Don't let its inexpensive price fool you. This strobe is still fantastic, packed with features. Let's take a look inside the box right now. So inside the box we've got a few parts here. The main one being the strobe itself, and that's going to come with the protective cover on there. After that, we've got the included reflector, our power cable, our 150 watt modeling lamp, and you don't want to miss these. These are just spare fuses in there as well, so make sure you grab those out. So we need to get the modeling lamp installed so then we can get it on the stand. Now you're going to have the protective cover that's already installed on there, so we need to remove that first. This metal lever here releases the accessory mount. So what you're going to do, you're going to pull that back and then twist the front, quarter turn, and it's going to release that accessory. Now that's exposed the modeling lamp and the flash tube area. So we're going to take our modeling lamp, which is this guy, and it's always better to use like a microfiber cloth when you're handling the glass. You don't want to put hot spots on it. So what we'll do, I've just got a cloth right here. Grab it like that, and it's just a standard E27 fitting, so just like you've put light bulbs in your house, all you're going to do, screw that one in until it's tight. We don't want to over tighten that. As soon as it's tight, it's installed and ready to go. Now that the modeling lamp's in, we just need to release the tilt mechanism here just by that handle, and that's going to release the bottom mount here. And you feel it click a little bit. That's so when we have heavy modifiers on there, the strobe isn't going to tilt down. And then on the other side, we're just going to back off this screw, which allows us to install this onto the light stand spigot. So once that's backed off, go over to the light stand, just drop it straight on here. Make sure we're all the way backed out. I'm still holding it just so I don't drop it on there. Tighten it down. Find your position, and then we're just going to take the lever and then tighten that down so it's locked in now. To install the power cable, really simple. It's just like a normal computer kind of plug-in that you would plug into your power supply. And that's just going to go right into the back here and insert. I should mention those extra fuses that we looked at earlier. If you ever happen to blow a fuse in this, maybe you're vacuuming and microwaving and everything all in the same circuit and you popped a fuse, you just take a flathead screwdriver, pop that tray out, you'll see a little picture of a fuse in there, and you can replace that fuse. It's very rare that it happens, but we do supply those in case it does. So plug straight in and we're good to go. So like all of the other strobes that we sell at Strobepro, they use the Bowens mount. And what does that mean? Well, Bowens mount is just a speed ring. It's a manufacturer, and it uses a bayonet style to attach different modifiers. You're going to see 1, 2, 3, they line up with the 3 holes, 1, 2, 3 right there. And to install any accessory, all you're doing, line those up. It's going to go in flush like that. We give it a quarter turn and then it's locked in. So that's whether you're using the included reflector here, or if we're using a softbox, or really anything with the Bowens modifier fits that exact same way. To take it out, all we're doing, that same lever where we took the protective cap off, pull that in, quarter turn the other way, and then that will pull straight out like that. You always want to be careful because a lot of modeling lamps and stuff get broken when you're taking accessories off. One thing I want to mention about the reflector, you're going to see a cutout inside here. And what that is for an umbrella shaft. So if you have an umbrella, you're going to want to kind of wiggle that piece of metal, and eventually it's just going to pop out, revealing the hole right there. And we always want to make sure that that hole is on the down side of the strobe, because down here you're going to see this thumb screw. We have an umbrella mount already attached to the strobe. So when I put this on, making sure that the hole is in the down position, lock it in. Now when I take my umbrella, we'll just have a 33 here in to show you. I'm going to put the umbrella shaft through that hole first of all. Let me spin it so we can see it. And then we're going to go through the hole in here Making sure that I've backed it off far enough. Once it goes through, we can decide on the depth that we want for that, and then we just use the thumb screw, lock that down, and now we can reposition that light wherever we want, not worrying about that umbrella falling. If we don't use the reflector with an umbrella, the light tends to just spill all over the place. Whenever you're using an umbrella, definitely use this reflector, that is included. Okay guys, so we've got our light on the stand and we're ready to go. So we have the on-off switch here, which is pretty self-explanatory. When you turn this on, you're gonna see the nice blue LCD screen, really high quality, easy to see in the dark as well. A couple features I wanna point out. You have a sync port right here, which is a 3.5 millimeter sync. So if you want to use radio triggers that plug in, you can do that. But one of the great things about this strobe is that it has a built-in receiver that works with our XT controller system, and we're going to show that in just a minute. So you really want to take advantage of that. This USB looking port here is not for USB. It's actually a legacy control port for some older remotes, so you can use that if you do have XRM receivers. But what we're mainly concerned about here, when we go to control this power, we're able to run up and down with this dial. So 1/1 is the full power setting, and when we go down to the bottom, 1/16 is the lowest power setting, and then if we go one stop beyond that, we are turning it off. That's what the dashed line means. So one of the things you want to make sure that you remember with this strobe is that when we're using the controller itself, the controller always overrides the strobe. So if I walk up to the strobe and I say, oh, I want this at 1/8 power, but then I go and turn my camera on and my controller is set to full power, this is automatically going to change. So just keep that in mind as you are turning on your controller. So one thing you're going to notice when I bring this up, say 1/4 power, and then I turn it back down, this light is going to flash. That's indicating that this needs to be dumped. So I need to go and push the test button or the test button on the controller to dump that extra capacity that's in there. On the 300M, you have to do this. On our higher end strobes, it does that automatically for you. That's really not a big deal. You just hit the test button if you've lowered the power. And then your next shot won't be overexposed. Over here we have our modeling lamp. There's 3 different modes that we can use for that. And when I push it the first time, it's going to go to proportional. So what proportional means is as I turn up the power of the strobe, the modeling lamp goes in proportion with it. So the modeling lamp is really just there to help you find focus, to kind of give you an idea where you're aiming, your modifiers. It's not going to be exposed in the frame. Now if I push that again, you're going to see a percentage show up there, and if I hit the set button, I'm pushing that dial in, you see it start to blink. So I can indicate where I want that, either 100% all the way down to 5%, and I can either leave it for 5 seconds or push the set button again and lock it in. And if I push the modeling lamp one more time, now it's off again. Next to that, we have the buzz, and that is just a beep. So right now it's making no sound. When it recycles, it's making no sound. If I turn that on, every time I touch a button or move anything, once it recycles, it will beep as well. So just something to keep in mind. Sometimes models like to cue off of that sound. So, you know, you take a shot, they know it's recycled, so they can change pose during that. We'll leave it off for now. Next we have S1 and S2. What that is a slave setting. So this little red dome up here is an optical sensor for your strobe. So that means that it will fire with any other flash. So a pop-up flash, another speed light. When we have S1 engaged, you'll see it show up at the top there. Any other light is going to trigger this. So not a great idea if you're at an event and there's other photographers around, because everyone's flash is going to set this off. S2 is just a special mode of that. If I go into S2, if you're using a TTL flash or red eye on your camera for some reason, this will ignore the first infrared burst and then fire it in sync. So pretty rare that you're going to use S2, but it is there. Now, the nice thing about this strobe, we don't need S1, S2 because we're going to be using it with the XT controller system. So this last button here, the group channel, that's where we're going to use our wireless setting. So if you see the group channel plus the S1, S2, if you go in, you need to hold them for 3 seconds. Now we've got a bunch of other stuff that showed up on our screen. Most importantly, you're going to see the symbol up in the top left, which indicates that we have enabled the wireless receiver in here, which is automatically going to work with our XT controller. We have a group, which is indicated by the C there. We have a channel up here. And then we have these little dip switches, which are just to indicate if you're using an older XTM controller. So you don't need to worry about those too much. But what we want to do is we want to set this up. First, we're going to set the channel, and if I hold the group channel button for 3 seconds, you're going to see the channel button start to blink. We're just going to use our set button dial here and rotate to whatever we want. So for this case, we're just going to leave it on 1. We can leave it for 5 seconds or push the set dial again, and it's going to lock it in. So same way over here, we're going to decide what we want for the group. And by pushing that, you're going to see it blink, and I can use the dial again. I can rotate A, B, C, D, E, or 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 9 there. But we're just going to leave this on A. Once we've indicated A, lock it in. So now we know this strobe is on channel 1, group A. If we have additional strobes, they're going to be put on the same channel, so we always want the same channel so they can communicate, but they can go on individual groups if you want. If we had another strobe here and put it on group A, these are going to move in unison together. If we put the additional strobe on group B, then we're going to be able to control them independently. Okay, so I've got the XT Pro controller out here. Now we make this controller for Canon, Nikon, Sony, Fuji, Olympus, Panasonic, and Pentax. So you should be covered pretty well for most camera brands here. This is our top of the line trigger, but it's an absolute necessity to get the most out of this 302M strobe. And the nice thing is that it not only works with this strobe, it works with all of our strobes, plus all of our speed lights. You only ever need one controller, so it's a great investment. So if we remember, we set this light up to group A, channel 1. So we just need to do the same thing on the controller here. So we have our channel button over here. So I would hold this down and we're going to see it highlight up at the top. So I would be able to select whatever channel I want. There is a multitude of channels, so pick one to your heart's content. You can scroll through hundreds of them if you want to. Now the other thing that we want to do is make sure that we're on group A. And the nice thing about this controller is all these buttons here indicate a group. So all we have to do this is hit group A button and it's highlighted there. Now we can rotate the dial of the power wherever we want and you can see it changing on the strobe. Guys, one thing to keep in mind about this is this strobe, its minimum power is 1/16. So if I go into my controller and I go below 1/16, the controller keeps going, but the strobe stops. So just be aware of that. You want to keep it above 1/16, and when I come back up, it's automatically going to find that and we can continue on. So just remember, lowest power is 1/16 on this. One thing to keep in mind again about this strobe is that it is a manual strobe. We do have TTL strobes. So if I go in and I select my group here and I change the mode, okay, so now we've gone off, I have TTL there. You can see on the strobe that it's still showing that it's off because this feature is not available on the 302. So I would push again, go back into manual, and now I've got my power settings again. Couple other quick features here. If I want to zoom more into this particular light, if I highlight the A channel here and I want to just see that one only, I can hit the zoom button over here and that's going to zoom in. Now I have a bigger display of what group I'm controlling, just a little bit easier to see on your camera. Another thing here, this MOD button, if I push that, that turns on the modeling lamp on your strobe. And it's only going to turn it on to what you previously set on the strobe. So I had set this at 100%, but if I had left it on proportional or a different percentage, then it would indicate that as well. So just a simple on-off button there. There's lots more features and I'm not going to get in depth into those in this video, but we have a specific video on the XT Pro controller. So if you really want to understand all the menu settings and everything in the controller, check out that one. It's under our help desk on the website. Whether you're just starting out in studio photography or you've been shooting for a while, the 302M is a great feature packed strobe. You're getting features like metal body, the Bowman's mount accessories, so you can use all of the Strobepro line of modifiers on this. Plus you have the X Series receiver built right in, so there's no more cables that you need to plug in. Just pick up the XT Pro controller or the XT controller and you're ready to shoot. Check out all of our accessories and the 302M at strobepro.com. And until next time, I'm Jesse.